Welcome back to the Halloween edition of the broadcast. Do you ever hear strange bumps in the night or voices whispering your name? Ghosts could be about, so we've invited Damien, there's a spooky name, Nordman from the School of Metaphysics to talk about these spirits. First of all, Damien, are they real? And if they are, how do you know?
Well, first of all, it's important to realize that what most people think of as ghosts really aren't anything that scary, because we tend to think of ourselves as these physical beings, that we're just this physical body, when really we're mental, spiritual beings. We exist beyond the physical. So a ghost usually is nothing more than a person, a soul who has passed on, and for some reason is still attached to the physical world, attached to people, things, you know, their loved ones or certain places. And so really they're not something to be feared so much as understood.
Are they usually entities that have died violent deaths, and that's why they're still attached?
Sometimes.
To Earth?
Yeah, sometimes that'll be the case. However, there's been a lot of instances where people simply were attached because of they haven't learned to let go. You know,
of their money.
Well, usually it's people.
Yeah.
You know, usually it's people. Usually it's the family and the interactions, and that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to be able to, you know, reconcile and have some kind of closure before a person dies.
So, Damien, why don't we all see them then? Why don't we all see these little bits of energy that might still be hanging around?
That's a great question as well, because if you think about how kids, like children, are often so much more attuned to whether it's seeing people who've passed on, or sometimes they'll talk about seeing other, maybe like an angel or like a guardian or something like that, or sometimes they'll even talk about past lives, and people are like, what are you talking about? You know, you were my mother in a past life. Oh, I don't know if I want to deal with that. But you know, kids, they're so uninhibited, whereas we get so attached to our 5 physical senses.
All right, how about the elderly? I've seen instances when the elderly will raise up and talk to their grandfather, who they swear is standing right in front of them.
Sure. And the whole thing about that is, just like a child has not been programmed yet, you know, when the younger they are, the smaller they are, they haven't filled their conscious mind, their brain with extra information. Oftentimes, as people are getting closer to the end of their life, they start to open up again. They start to say, you know, maybe all this stuff that you're being made fun of today for, actually, maybe you are starting to see some things that the rest of us need to see.
So I want to know I want to know your ghost stories. Like, if the people who are at the School of Metaphysics, some of them do have the ability to see ghosts, or whatever we want to, spirits, whatever we want to call them. Give us some good stories.
Well, you know, one of my teachers, actually, who was a teacher of mine for many years, talked about how, I think when we had a school in Detroit, someone had called up our School of Metaphysics and said, hey, we think we have a ghost here. And he went in with one of the other teachers and performed a series of what we call life force exercises, which is essentially a series of movements that's more than just physical movement. It's breath work, it's energy movement, and they essentially energized the whole house with a field of energy. And then they walked around saying, you know, you've passed on, you need to be aware that you're now died, it's okay to go on. And after they went through that whole series of interactions, the people who were in the house were like, well, they've moved on.
Are seances real?
Possibly. We don't really get into that so much at the School of Metaphysics.
You don't?
We really try to focus on
So like Ouija boards aren't a part of y'all's study?
Not part of our daily regimen, no, not what we usually do.
No, it's much more scientifically based, everything you do there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much based on principles of mind and creation and understanding how all of it fits together. You know, how your consciousness and energy all connects.
Can't some people that say they see ghosts, can't they just be crazy? Like, can't we just call them what that sounds like? If someone's like, I saw a ghost, I mean, we're all going to go, you're crazy.
Well, sure, there's always going to be some people who are a little off kilter. However, what we teach at the School of Metaphysics really is how a person can use their attention through concentration exercises, through meditation, and of course we've talked before about dream interpretation. All of those are ways to be able to, you know, use the third eye, your pituitary, to be able to interpret vibration, interpret energy, interpret things that are even non-physical.
I had a very good friend for years that really had a third eye, and he was a dear
Not
friend.
literally, right?
Well, no, when I'm talking about it's a thing on the forehead. I got really into all this in the 70s and had some experiences, some really, yeah, life-changing experiences with it. I believe in it a whole 100%. But I believe this: if you believe it, you'll see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to have a desire to perceive something more than with our five physical senses. Yeah, and that's why I do encourage people often to use their dreams as a way to access whether it's deceased relatives or friends. I mean, I even had one of my cousins die some years ago, back in 2005, and his little girl, who was probably 5 at the time, about a year later, she told her grandmother that she basically saw her dad and knew it was him because he told her in a dream that there would be a turtle walking by, and he was like walking close to the grave. Yeah.
Okay,
and
we want to talk more about this. We're gonna talk more with Amy, and we need to take one quick break. Stay with us.
Let's talk about dreams.
A portion of this show is brought to you by Credit Union of Texas.